Why do most cars die before 100,000 miles, while some push past 700,000? It's not luck, it's habits. I'm breaking down 19 habits that took mine to 700,000 miles. Miss one, and you'll waste thousands. Stick with me until the end, because the final habit takes 1 second but saves $5,000 in repairs. Let's dive in. Habit number 19. Follow the 3K oil rule. Oil changes aren't optional, they're life support for your engine. Ignore this, and you're signing your car's death certificate. I've opened engines that followed the dealer's 10,000-mile interval, and it wasn't pretty. Thick, black sludge baked on pistons, clogged oil passages, and scored cams. That's not maintenance. That's neglect dressed up as savings. Dealers push long intervals because they only care about getting you past warranty, not keeping you on the road past 300,000 miles. Here's the truth. Your oil starts breaking down way sooner than you think. Short trips, cold starts, and stop-and-go traffic destroy oil long before 7,500 miles. That's why the golden rule is simple. Change it every 3,000 with conventional or 5,000 to 7,000 with full synthetic. Yes, it costs more upfront, but $40 today beats $4,000 tomorrow. Want extra life? Always use a high-quality filter. Check your dipstick monthly, and never cheap out on bulk shop oil. Fresh oil is your first line of defense, but it won't save you if you're killing your engine every morning. Habit number 18. Drive, don't idle. Think idling your car for 10 minutes warms it up? Wrong, that's not warming. It's slow suicide for your engine. I've torn down motors where the oil was so diluted with fuel, it poured out like black water. Cylinder walls scratched, compression gone, pistons cooked, all because someone thought their driveway was a warming station. Here's what's really happening. After 30 seconds of idling, raw fuel washes down your cylinder walls, stripping the oil film that protects them. That $40 synthetic you just put in? It's now useless sludge. Meanwhile, you're wasting gas like it's free. Want your engine to live? Here's the move. Start the car, wait 30 seconds, then drive easy for the first mile or two. Oil temp rises up to 8 times faster when you're moving than when you're sitting there burning fuel. Your engine gets protection quicker, your wallet keeps more gas money. You stop being that neighbor who chokes the block with exhaust every morning. Fresh oil and smart starts go hand in hand. And now, let's tackle the next habit that's quietly wrecking your car every time you start your car. Habit number 17. Upgrade to quality spark plugs. Spark plugs are cheap. Engines aren't. Yet too many drivers treat them like install and forget parts. Dealers and quick lube shops will tell you those plugs last 100,000 miles. That's true. If you drive in perfect lab conditions, never idle, and somehow avoid traffic. Real life isn't a lab. In the real world, plugs foul early, wear faster, and take expensive parts down with them. I've pulled plugs worn so thin they barely sparked. The result? Burned coils, rough idling, melted pistons, and even catalytic converters fried beyond repair. All because the owner thought long life meant forever. Here's the rule. Start checking around 60,000 miles. On direct injection engines, check sooner. Always stick to trusted brands. NGK, Denso, Bosch, Motorcraft, AC Delco. Skip the no-name bargain plugs. I've seen them kill engines in half the time. A $60 set of plugs, changed on time, can carry your engine past 300,000 miles. Ignore them, and you'll be buying a new engine before you finish paying off the old one. Fresh plugs mean smooth starts. And now, let's move into a quick test that could save your drivetrain before it shakes itself apart. Habit number 16. Do the engine mount death test. Engines don't just sit quietly under the hood. They twist, shake, and strain against their mounts every time you drive. Those mounts are supposed to absorb the force. When they fail, the shaking doesn't just rattle your dashboard, it wrecks everything around it. I once ignored a faint thump, thinking it was an exhaust rattle. Weeks later, the whole dash shook like a jackhammer. The mount had split in half, nearly cracking the manifold and stressing the transmission. Bad mounts don't announce themselves with fireworks. They fail slowly, quietly. You won't notice until gear shifts slam, the steering wheel vibrates at idle, or the drivetrain jerks like you've been rear-ended. Here's the test. Foot on the brake, shift into drive, rev to 2000 RPM. If the engine jumps more than an inch, those mounts are toast. Replace them with quality OEM or heavy-duty aftermarket options. Catching it early saves thousands. But even solid mounts can't protect a transmission drowning in worn fluid. That's why the next rule is critical. Habit number 15. Drain and fill transmission fluid. Most people forget about their transmission until it starts slipping. By then, the damage is already done. You're not fixing it, you're replacing it, and that's a $4,000 bill waiting to land in your lap. Transmission fluid may look clean, smell fine, and still be killing your gears. By 60,000 miles, it's full of clutch dust, metal shavings. That fluid turns into liquid sandpaper, grinding down every shift. Here's the rule. Drain and fill every 60,000 miles, or 6 years, whichever comes first. For hybrids, you can stretch closer to 90,000, but don't gamble. Never flush a neglected transmission. That sludge might be the only thing holding it together. If it's been maintained, flushing is fine. If not, stick with a drain and fill. Always use the right OEM fluid. Toyota WS, Honda ATF-DW1, Mopar ATF +4, or whatever your manual calls for. Skip the universal blends. Healthy fluid means smooth shifts, but running your tank too low can kill your fuel pump just as fast. Habit number 14. Follow the quarter tank rule. Running your car on fumes might save a trip to the gas station, but it's a death sentence for your fuel system. I've seen pumps burn out before 80,000 miles just because drivers pushed their luck. Your fuel pump isn't just a pump. It's cooled and lubricated by the very fuel in your tank. Drop below a quarter tank often, and that pump runs hot, dries out its seals, and cooks itself from the inside. That's a $600 repair before you've even finished your morning commute. And it doesn't stop there. Low fuel stirs up all the dirt and debris that settles at the bottom of your tank. That gunk clogs filters, fouls injectors, and makes your car stumble like it's out of breath. Want to avoid it? Simple rule. Never let your gauge dip below a quarter. Fill up sooner, keep the pump submerged, and you'll add years to its life. Fuel pumps aren't the only thing quietly failing. Watch our video on 17 driver mistakes that kill your car before 100,000 miles to be more informed the next time you fall back to your usual habits. Habit number 13. Stop after the pump clicks. That extra squeeze after the pump shuts off doesn't give you more miles. It gives you more problems. I've replaced dozens of ruined evap systems because drivers kept topping off. The charcoal canister inside your car's emission system is designed to handle vapors, not raw fuel. When you force more gas in after the first click, liquid fuel floods the lines, soaks the canister, and destroys sensors. That's a $350 to $900 repair, all for one extra click. Your tank also needs airspace. Without it, vapors can't vent properly, which means pressure builds up and fuel gets pushed into places it doesn't belong. I've seen gas pouring out of vent lines like a popped balloon. The fix is simple. When the pump clicks, stop, walk away. That's it. Want your car to last? Respect that first click. It's cheaper than paying for an evap rebuild. But fuel isn't the only fluid that needs respect. Let's talk about coolant, the one fluid that, if ignored, can cook your entire engine. Habit number 12. Flush coolant before overheating. Coolant isn't just colored water, it's your engine's life insurance. Ignore it. And one overheating event can end your car on the spot. I've seen modern aluminum heads warp at just 230 degrees Fahrenheit. One Tacoma driver ignored his temp gauge for 8 minutes. Result, a blown head gasket and a $3,800 repair bill. One mistake, one drive, game over. Here's the rule most drivers miss. Coolant breaks down over time. Additives wear out, rust builds, and protection drops. That's why you should flush it every 3 to 5 years, or approximately 50,000 miles, depending on the manufacturer's recommendations. Don't mix colors. Red, green, yellow, clear. They're not the same. Always stick with the exact type your manual recommends. Want to stretch your car's life? Check coolant levels once a month. Keep a bottle of the right type in your trunk and never gamble with overheating. But coolant doesn't just vanish. If you're topping it off often, something's leaking. That's the next silent killer we need to catch. Habit number 11. Check coolant leaks. Coolant doesn't just disappear. If you're topping it off week after week, you're not maintaining your car, you're babysitting a slow death. I've seen drivers ignore low coolant for months, only to find out a hidden head gasket leak was cooking their engine from the inside. By then, the motor was scrap. Leaks can come from anywhere. A cracked radiator, a worn hose, a water pump on its last leg. Sometimes it's sneaky, a heater core soaking your carpets, or a tiny gasket leak venting steam out the exhaust. Don't assume you'll see puddles under the car. Many leaks only show when the system is hot and pressurized. Here's the smart move. Pressure test the cooling system, pump it up cold, and watch for a drop. If it won't hold pressure, you've got a leak. Fix it now before it wrecks your engine. Catching leaks early saves the motor, but protecting the brakes that stop that motor? That's just as critical. Let's talk about how coasting early keeps your brakes alive. Habit number 10. Coast early to save brakes. Slamming on the brakes at the last second doesn't make you a sharp driver. It makes you an expensive one. Every hard stop sends heat spikes over 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit straight into your rotors. That heat warps metal, glazes pads, and boils brake fluid. I've seen drivers burn through $900 worth of brakes just by treating every stoplight like a drag race finish line. Here's the fix. Start easing off the gas earlier. Coast into red lights and crowded intersections. Use engine braking when you're going downhill. That simple habit can double the life of your pads and rotors. And when it is time to replace them, don't cheap out. Go with quality. Genuine OEM pads or trusted brands like Akebono for Subarus, Advix for Toyotas, or Motorcraft for Fords. Cheap pads squeal, shred rotors, and leave you paying more in the long run. Save money, save parts, save stress. And while brakes stop the car, one overlooked fluid keeps them alive. Let's get into brake fluid next. Habit number 9. Don't skip brake fluid changes. Brake fluid isn't something you see every day, but it's the difference between stopping safely and rolling straight through a red light. Over time, brake fluid absorbs moisture. That water lowers the boiling point, and when the fluid boils under heavy braking, your pedal goes soft and your brakes fade. I've seen it happen on the highway. Cars that couldn't stop because the driver thought brake fluid lasted forever. Here's the truth. Brake fluid should be flushed every 2 years or about 30,000 miles. Fresh fluid keeps calipers, master cylinders, and ABS units from corroding, saving you thousands in repairs. A flush costs around $100. Skip it, and you're looking at a $1,500 rebuild when rust eats your system alive. Check your owner's manual for exact intervals, but don't wait for spongy brakes or warning lights. If the fluid looks dark, it's time. Healthy brakes start with healthy fluid. And once you've got that sorted, let's talk about a parking habit that saves your transmission from a slow, hidden death. Habit number 8. Always use the parking brake. Is sliding your gear shifter into park enough? It's not. I've replaced dozens of shattered parking pawls. Tiny metal fingers inside the transmission that hold your car in place. When you park on a slope without the parking brake, that little piece of metal is left holding the full weight of your car. One snap, and you're looking at a $2,800 transmission teardown. Here's the truth. Park is a gear holder, not a parking brake. That's why every car comes with one. Whether you're on a hill, a slope, or even flat ground, make it a habit. Parking brake first, then shift into park. Doing it the other way around leaves stress on the pawl. Over time, that stress turns into failure. It doesn't matter if your car is brand new or 20 years old. Use the parking brake every time. It's simple, it's free, and it saves your transmission from an early grave. Your transmission isn't the only thing under stress. Let's look at what happens when you overload your suspension. Habit number 7. Dump the junk weight. Your SUV isn't a dump truck, but you wouldn't know it by the way some people load them. I've seen crossovers carrying toolboxes, coolers, sports gear, and junk that added up to 800 pounds. 2 months later, blown shocks, ruined alignment, scalloped tires, and a $1,400 repair bill. That free hauling job cost more than hiring a moving truck. Here's the thing, every extra 100 pounds you haul adds close to 1,000 pounds of stress during hard braking. That strain hammers your suspension, wears out springs, and chews up tires. Your vehicle's door jamb lists the gross weight rating. Subtract the curb weight, and you'll know exactly what it can carry, including passengers. Most families hit the limit without adding a single bag of bricks in the back. Travel light. Clear the trunk, empty the roof rack, and only carry what you need. Less weight means less stress, longer suspension life, and better fuel economy. If tips like this are saving you money already, hit that like button and subscribe. That way, you won't miss the next habit that could save your car from an early death. Habit number 6. Rinse the undercarriage. Most drivers obsess over shiny paint but ignore the undercarriage, the part that actually keeps the car alive. I've lifted spotless trucks only to find frames rotting underneath, brake lines eaten through, and fuel tanks leaking, all because no one bothered to rinse below. The truth is, one winter of salted roads is enough to kickstart rust that lasts a lifetime. That rust doesn't just look bad, it weakens the frame, locks up bolts, and makes even simple repairs a nightmare. I've seen brake lines snap mid-tow because of rust no one ever checked. That's not just expensive, it's dangerous. The fix is easy. Use a pressure washer or car wash with an undercarriage sprayer. Do it monthly in winter or weekly in snow country. Even in rainy seasons, road grime traps moisture like a sponge. Rinsing it adds years of strength and safety. And speaking of safety, let's talk about the noises your car makes and why ignoring them is like ignoring smoke in your house. Habit number 5. Catch strange sounds early. Ticking, knocking, whining, squealing. If your car sounds like it belongs in a horror movie, don't just turn up the radio and hope it goes away. Every weird sound is a warning, and ignoring it is like putting duct tape over a smoke alarm. You're not fixing anything. You're just waiting for disaster. I've seen a $40 belt squeal turn into a $1,200 alternator failure. A soft clunk that drivers brushed off turned out to be a CV joint snapping and taking the axle with it. One customer ignored a light ticking noise for months. The engine was starving for oil, and by the time he paid attention, it needed a full rebuild. Here's the move. Pay attention. Track the sound. Does it happen cold, hot, over bumps, or at high speeds? Then get it checked. Early fixes are cheap. Delays wreck your wallet. Catching strange noises early keeps big problems away. But not every threat makes a sound. Some sit quietly under the hood, waiting to leave you stranded. Habit number 4. Clean battery terminals regularly. Your car can have a strong engine, fresh oil, and new brakes, but none of that matters if the battery can't deliver power. Corroded battery terminals are silent killers. They choke the starter, overwork the alternator, and make electronics act up. I've had cars towed in for a dead starter that came back to life with nothing more than a $5 wire brush and 10 minutes of cleaning. One customer almost dropped $900 on parts she didn't need, all because of a half-inch of green fuzz. Here's the rule. Pop the hood every 3 or 4 months. If you see white or green buildup, clean it. Use a mix of baking soda and water, or a proper terminal cleaner. Once they're clean, coat the posts with dielectric grease or terminal protector spray to stop future corrosion. Healthy terminals mean stronger starts, steadier electronics, and fewer surprise breakdowns. And now, let's move to a part that looks harmless but causes more check engine lights than almost anything else: the gas cap. Habit number 3. Replace the $10 gas cap. That little gas cap you twist every time you fill up does more than cover the tank. It seals the fuel system. When it's cracked, loose, or missing a gasket, vapors escape and air sneaks in. The result? Poor fuel economy, rough idling, and a glowing check engine light. Believe it or not, bad gas caps trigger millions of check engine lights every year. I've seen drivers spend hundreds chasing down sensors, hoses, even replacing canisters, only to find the culprit was a $10 cap. Here's the move. Replace your gas cap every 5 years, or sooner if it looks dry, cracked, or the fuel smell won't go away. Always stick with OEM parts. Cheap knockoffs don't seal right. And when you twist it, make sure it clicks. A fresh gas cap keeps your system tight and your wallet safe. But sometimes, the biggest money drain isn't the car. It's the shop pushing urgent repairs. Habit number 2. Question every urgent repair. Walk into a dealership for an oil change, and somehow you leave with a $1,200 estimate? Funny how their multi-point inspection always finds something urgent, right? I've sat in those meetings. Service writers are trained to upsell flushes, cleanings, and parts you don't actually need. One even tried selling a throttle body cleaning on a brand new Corolla. I fired him on the spot. Here's the rule. Don't sign anything until you see proof. Ask for photos of the part. Ask what spec number shows it's bad, and always get a second opinion from an independent shop or mobile mechanic. Half the time, that urgent repair is nothing more than a bonus for their holiday party fund. Shops play the upsell game. Manufacturers play a longer one, stretching service intervals to get you past warranty. That's why the next point is just as important. Habit number 1. Double-check dealer service intervals. Dealers love to brag about extended service intervals. 10 or 15,000 miles between oil changes? Sounds convenient until your engine turns into a sludge casserole right after the warranty expires. That's the trick. They want the car to survive 100,000 miles, not 300,000. Here's the truth. Most of us drive in severe service conditions. Short trips, traffic, cold starts. That means you need shorter intervals, not longer. Oil every 3 to 5,000, transmission fluid every 60,000, coolant every 3 to 5 years. Follow those rules and you'll outlast the marketing gimmicks. Don't let a dealer's glossy brochure write your car's obituary. Use your manual, use common sense, and remember, cars don't die early, they get neglected. If you've made it this far, you've already got an edge over most drivers. And because you stuck with me, here's a bonus tip that almost no one talks about. Use the right fuel injector cleaner. Even the best habits won't save your engine if you're pouring poison into the tank. Over 60% of injector cleaners on shelves are scams, or worse, silent engine killers. I've seen cheap bottles fry sensors, clog injectors, and even destroy a $2,500 catalytic converter. The trick: look for one ingredient, polyethyramine. It's the only detergent proven to dissolve hard carbon deposits. Skip the bargain bin bottles and stick to trusted brands like Lucas Deep Clean, Gum Out Regain, Royal Purple Max Clean, Redline SI1, or Chevron Techron. These don't just clean, they protect your injectors, fuel pump, and even improve fuel economy. Think of it like brushing your teeth. Do it regularly and you'll prevent bigger problems down the road. Use the wrong product and you're writing a blank check for repairs. Now here's the kicker. Some injector cleaners are worse than scams. They're engine killers. In my next video, I'll expose the 9 injector cleaners that ruin cars. Click on screen now before you waste thousands.